Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. Yes, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. Welcome aboard. It is Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. This is live stream 750. I don't have any fireworks to blow off or anything like that. So we're going to be celebrating tonight. I have giveaways to give away, so stay tuned for that. I will point out, if you're hanging out for the giveaways, they are going to be late in the show, just so you know. Anyway, if this is your first time joining me, let me point out, this isn't anything, super serious. It's pretty casual around here. Certainly not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and taking a look at a game. Tonight, we are going to take a first look and page through Starfinder, Galactic Magic from Paizo Inc. This is the latest supplement for Starfinder, and we are going to dive on in a little bit. But first, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news, and then we'll jump on into the first look. I would say probably about 25 minutes if you are watching live. So if you are watching live, kick back, relax. We're going to tackle the tabletop gaming news. Then we will take a look at the Galactic Magic supplement. If you are watching after this stream ends, say 30 minutes or more after the stream ends, there will be timestamps. So if you want to jump ahead of the news, I don't know why you'd want to, because there's some cool stuff. But if you just want to take a look at the first look at the Starfinder supplement, there will be timestamps. You can jump right on ahead. So, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Old School Essentials Classic Fantasy Rules Tome. If you have any curiosity about OSE, definitely give it a peek. Give that review a peek. There's also a first look video as well, because all throughout January, we were celebrating Old School for the new year. So we're taking a look at a lot of old school themed fantasy role-playing games. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live stream. So that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Also, you must be a subscriber for at least 48 hours to be able to take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question or a comment, by all means, chime in, and I will do my best to respond. First out the gate was the Motor City Madman tonight. That's right. One of our chat moderators, the Madman, is with us. Clint Gibson, Brian Grant. I believe Brian's name isn't ringing a bell. This might be a first-time visit or a second-time visit. I don't know. There's so many names, right? Callahan Cladd is with us. Jason Bratley as well. Who else we got? Flaming Huron's just arrived. So chat is off and running. So a lot of folks saying congrats on 750 shows. Yes, thank you very much. I think overall on the YouTube channel, I think there's around like 12 or 1,300 videos. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. So Brian says, yes, it's their first time. Sweet. All right. I was going to say, because we had one gentleman who was, I think, like the first 4 or 5 times they popped in, I was like, oh, I think it's first time visit. They're like, no, I was just here last week, man. What's wrong with you? What are you on, dope? What are you, smoking the marijuana or something? Not that there's anything against it. It's just not, not my bag of tricks. So, alrighty, let's jump on into the news because I've got a cool mix of news tonight. First off, there's a light strategy game that's going to be hitting stores later this month from The Op. Here's what I know about Mountains Out of Molehills. Moles have traveled from all over to compete in the annual Mountain Maker Tournament. In this light strategy game, competitors show their skill based on how high they can pile their molehills and by how many mountains they control. The mole that can build and control the most mountains out of molehills over 6 rounds will be declared the top tunneler and win the game. This actually features a 2-level game board and full-color acrylic standees for each mole. Mountains Out of Molehills is played over 6 rounds, and each round has 4 phases. In Phase 1, players take turns drafting action cards from a face-up market to form a hand of 4 cards each. These actions will move moles underground while adding molehill pieces to the bottom of the mountains above them. In Phase 2, each player simultaneously determines the order they plan to resolve their action cards. They place these cards face down in a stack from first action to last. Once the order is set, it cannot be changed. Carefully planning will help ensure you take control of the most valuable molehills, but be careful as your opponents may block your path, throw a rock in your way, watch it with those rocks, or even cause your best mountains to topple over, spilling the pieces onto other mountains. In Phase 3, players take turns revealing the top card from their stack and resolving its action. In Phase 4, players score the round. Each player controls the mountains that they have their color molehill on the bottom and earn 1 point for each piece in the mountain they control. After scoring, players draft the turn order for the next round, starting with the player who has the most pieces on top of each mountain. The player who goes first gets first choice when drafting cards, but the player who acts last gets the final movement in the round. After 6 rounds, players total up all their points from those 6 rounds. And the player with the most points is once again dubbed the top tunneler and is the winner chicken dinner. Mountains Out of Molehills is for 2 to 4 players ages 9 and up. Plays around 45 to 60 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives in stores later this month. Well, this looks fairly unique. This has kind of a visual pop to it. I mean, it's going to stand out on the gaming table. You've got a couple of levels. You got one level that your moles are moving around on. Then above that is where those mountains are. Give it kind of cool. It looks different. I can tell you that much. Got some programmed actions effectively. It's those movement cards and rock throwing cards, I guess. Sweet. So, once again, Mountains Out of Molehills arrives later this month from the Op. Coming soon from Pegasus Spiel is A Battle Through History. Here's the skinny. In A Battle Through History, each player wears the clothes of a time-traveling storyteller whose journey through historical eras enables them to relive epic battles alongside legendary troops and heroes. During a game, players play era tiles into the gear of history to customize their deck of cards and move their character in space and time in order to fight and recruit troops from different historical battles or challenge opponents in player versus player combat. As you build an army made of soldiers from different ages, you use it to collect relics from different places and times. Whoever collects the greatest units and the bravest heroes leads them to victory and gathers relics during their travels wins the game. In A Battle Through History, you become a Sabaton. It's actually a heavy metal band. It really is. That's who these characters you're looking right at just a second ago. It is a heavy metal band who is tied in with this game. Anyway, in the game, you become a Sabaton, a time-traveling storyteller jumping through history so you can relive epic and often unlikely battles alongside legendary troops and heroes. Your success will depend on the skills of the warriors you recruit during your travels, but even more on your willingness to dare or defend. Every battle is a great challenge. Every battle is different. Are you ready to become a real Sabaton? And, I don't know, join the band, I guess? A Battle Through History, designed and published by Scribebs and released worldwide by Pegasus Spiel, is the official Sabaton board game featuring a unique gear and rack action system, fight-based deck building, 60 different historical troops, and 8 famous heroes from different eras. A Battle Through History is for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 1 to 2 hours, and will carry an MSRP of $59.99 when it arrives in late March. So Callahan says, oh, wow, I didn't even notice that. That's 100% Sabaton in miniature format. Yes. So does the band not get along because they're battling each other in this game? This sounds kind of bizarre. It's, it's kind of like Kiss. Kiss goes through time. Well, Kiss always has stupid comic books that they sucker these comic companies into making. So I guess I shouldn't say anything about that. It's like Metallica takes on ancient history. Hey, for all I know, this could be a cool game. I don't know. It did catch my eye. And I got to say, it looks kind of bizarre. Let's talk about some role-playing game news because a new bundle of holding has arrived just in time for Valentine's Day. And it features role-playing games perfect for 2 players. And I've got the details on the deal. Sweetheart, we mean adventurer. Just in time for Valentine's Day, this all-new bundle for 2, 3 brings you a fresh-faced assortment of tabletop role-playing games for 2 players. Games in our past 2-player offerings were often intimate duets, ideal for a loving Valentine experience with your significant other. This year we have, let's see, Dirty Pair Planetary Mayhem, Detective versus Murderer, City and Dungeon Generators, British Folk Horror, and Necromancy. And games about repressed romantic attraction. Try them for an unusual date night. Hey, come on, there's a pandemic. For just $9.95, you'll get all 5 titles in the starter collection, which carries a retail value of $45, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Beak, Feather, and Bone, Ex Umbra, Dead Friend, a game of necromancy, Prism, and Codex Love 2. That is Gauntlet Publishing's May 2018 issue of Codex magazine, the second one based on the theme of love. If you pay more than the current threshold price of $20.66, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 5 more complete games worth an additional $48, including Starcrossed, Ex Novo, Double or Nothing, One More Thing, channeling Columbo, and English Eerie. These savings do run through Valentine's Day itself, February 14th. And 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. So there's some discussion going on about the battle throughout history. So it's like, when were ancient aliens related to this? Does anyone remember the card game made by the History Channel? Asks Jason. I do not. I do remember there was one History Channel game. I could have sworn it was like the American Civil War, and it was supposed to be awful. It was supposed to be god awful. Then again, I just refer to the History Channel as the channel. No joke, I really do. I refer to it as the channel because there really is no history on that channel anymore. All right, anyway, this looks like a pretty nice bundle of holding that you can dive on into, especially for those of you out there who do not have a lot of players you can get to the table. So there you have it. Bundle for 2, 3. Viper Dave has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Viper Dave. Let's move on to our next news piece because Gallant Knight Games has released a new 80s-inspired magical role-playing game from Kurt and Katie Potts. Here's the latest on Lighthearted. Welcome to the magical 80s dream world of Lighthearted. You are a prep, jock, geek, rebel, or outcast, like those kids in the Breakfast Club, except you're just about to start Magic Community College. Through play, we'll explore how you grow out of your high school cliques, all while dealing with magical mishaps, college parties, vampires, and worse, finals. Lighthearted is a complete tabletop role-playing game that uses the language of film and television to reimagine the coming-of-age stories popular in 80s teen movies like Weird Science and 16 Candles, but with a modern fantasy spin. It's set in an alternate 1980s with fantasy elements weaved into the most outlandish bits of 80s pop culture. There are fantasy religions mixed in with mall culture, dark magic, cold wars, and magical glamours instead of plastic surgery. What's inside? Become one of 11 archetypes called cliques and play out their coming-of-age stories. There's a unique core mechanic that puts the character's emotions front and center, a narrative magic system that blends neon rainbow magic with the character's emotions, and a cinematic adventure that highlights the drama and challenges Lighthearted has to offer, and more. This 170-page hardcover is available at DriveThruRPG for $39.99. You can grab just the PDF alone for $19.99. Aha! So we had to drop the ban hammer. Oh my gosh! It has been so long since it's been years since the ban hammer came out. The ban hammer has been wielded by Flaming Huron. And of course, I didn't even see what the message was. I was too busy reading the news piece. Okay, so there's still more discussion about that Sabaton going back in history to fight, to recruit ancient heroes and fight each other, I think is what it really breaks down to. So Callahan says after that, Sabaton goes back in time to fight historical figures game. all I can think of is Franz Ferdinand the Band versus Franz Ferdinand the Archduke. Oh, man, that's funny. Flaming Heron says it was one of those spammers that just got the boot. See, we don't fool around. My chat moderators do not fool around. All right, cool. So this is available. This strikes me as more a game. I would think that's probably aimed at gamers in their 20s, 30s, who are into the 80s nostalgia, as opposed to those of us who lived through the 80s. So I don't know. It's kind of, once again, this is a game that piqued my interest. I saw it. Strangely enough, this was on both Kickstarter and GameFound, which I thought kind of double dipping like that was sort of frowned upon by gamers, not by the actual companies. Perkins Dearborn is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Chat is rocking and rolling tonight, and that band hammer is swinging. Let's move on to my final news piece, because G. Hawkins has released a new Osric OSR fantasy role-playing adventure in print and PDF. Here's the scoop on Bottomless Pit of Zorth. This Osric OSR adventure can be run as a standalone or as part of the Gunderholfen and Darkness at Nekemti setting. It includes approximately 65 keyed locations, plus random site/event and encounter tables. It's heavy on curious oddities, vicious oozes, and squishy, mutated monstrosities, with a healthy dose of push the red button and see what happens interaction thrown in for good measure. The red button, the candy red button. Yeah, I remember that Ren and Stimpy episode, Space Madness. The Bottomless Pit of Zorth has stood as a place of inscrutable mystery and dread since time immemorial. Yet, not few of the brave and reckless have tried their luck within its deep and reportedly never-ending depths. Those lucky enough to survive can attest to its apparent bottomless nature, but spoke more of the alienness and oddness of the place, the unfathomable purpose of the giant rotating pin that pierces down into the depths, the otherworldly machinery, and the crazed and demented denizens that, for reasons unknown, defended the hellish hole. These survivors often left with a sense that there was a deliberate design and purpose to the pit, and that a terrible but inhuman intellect ruled and guided all, though none have yet seen or met this assuredly dreadful master. I want to point out the digital version of this includes unkeyed JPEG maps for use with virtual tabletops. This 54-page adventure is available over at DriveThruRPG in hardcover for $20, or you can grab the PDF for $7.50. The color print format for the hardcover is actually a black and white book, but it is printed on thicker, higher quality paper than the standard black and white hardcovers would be. Yes. I gotta be honest, if I knew of a website for G. Hawkins, I have no idea what the G stands for, and I searched, because I know I've seen, I want to say that Gunderholfen has been really well reviewed as far as an OSR adventure, and I have seen G. Hawkins' artwork before, and I swear, I want to say it's either Old School Essentials or Dungeon Crawl Classics, or both. Perkins says, speaking of the art, it's very evocative, and it seems like this adventure would be pretty wacky. I would take a guess, yeah. I would think this is probably a pretty gonzo adventure, or at least it's squishy. We know it's squishy. But it looks kind of cool. That's why I wanted to share it. And I got to say, $7.50 for what, a 54-page adventure over at DriveThruRPG. It's Osric / OSR. That's a pretty good deal too, especially if this is a good adventure. All right, that is it for tonight's news. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Keep in mind, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, please swing by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you swing over to thegaminggang.com all the time, essentially, if you like what I do, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by going over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, there are quite a few people who use our banner ads when they go to DriveThru or, say, Dungeon Masters Guild, so on and so forth. And some people swing on over to paypal.me. So, thank you kindly. It is much appreciated. So, Sarah D pokes her head out. Hello, Sarah. I don't think I've missed saying hello to anybody. If Sarah's around, I assume Mr. Eddie T's probably hanging too. Got some of our regulars, just hanging around. So I shared a picture of our new kitten, Mango, yesterday. And I've gotten some emails about how cute she is. So I don't want to say she sends her thanks because she doesn't, but I do appreciate the kind thoughts about the new kitten. And yes, thankfully, Lala is getting more used to having the kitten around again because they were together in the same foster home. I adopted Lala 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago, but we couldn't take Mango with because Mango hadn't been spayed yet because she wasn't old enough yet. So Jason says, Mango looks awesome. She's sweet. She's funny too. Both the cats have very unique personalities that I'm getting to learn. Lala seems to be a little fussy. Flaming Heron's asking if the cats are going to make an appearance on stream. Probably not. And the reason behind that is the only reason why Smokey and Pinky would be down in the duct tape studios is because Pinky would sometimes pee where she was not supposed to. So she couldn't actually be trusted upstairs without keeping an eye on her. She got, it was weird. It would come and go. She'd go like months, nothing. And then a couple times within like 3 or 4 days. And she would just kind of ruin that trust she had built up. So that's why you would have the cats down here in the studios. But it is dusty and dirty, and this is not like a finished studio. If you watched episode 500 of the stream, you got a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at what the setup really is. I say it all the time. The Gaming Gang's budget makes a shoestring look like a cable holding up the Golden Gate Bridge. It is all done on the cheap. Flaming Heron says they had a dog like that. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, oh, wow. You start thinking, oh, okay. She's gotten past that for whatever reason. And then, so Flaming Heron says, yeah, behind the magic. Yeah, so look behind the magic. All right. We are going to have some giveaways tonight, but not yet. And I got to point out, you got to be watching live, and there's going to be a trick to this. So stay tuned. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at Starfinder Galactic Magic in just a moment. But first, how's about a quick intermission?
Precious and the soda's delicious. Try some today. We are the Intermission Quartet. Some quartet. We sell refreshments at the Met. At the Met? So if you should want to get delicious ice cream, soft drink, popcorn, candy. Candy, I like candy. It tastes just dandy and comes in handy when I fight the bull. The popcorn's puffy, so crisp and fluffy. We all eat popcorn until we're full. Oh, how I love the soft drinks here. They taste as good as the lager beer. And now our operator ends. We'll have an intermission, friends.
Yes, I'll be sharing those old intermission clips from here on out, just as a laugh. Actually, the funny thing is, I monetize the videos, and I'll usually have it about every 15 minutes or so. You see an ad. All depends on what we're doing, and I'm going to drop the ad right in front of the intermission. So, all right, 245 Trioxins joined us. Good to see ya. Got a bunch of regulars here. We got some folks that are fairly new to hanging out in chat. We have a first timer in chat as well. Sweet, very cool. So as I mentioned, tonight I am going to be taking a first look and paging through Starfinder Galactic Magic from Paizo Inc. We'll crack the book open. I will share some of the credits because there are a lot of people involved. Hey, what the heck? Oh, I know why it's doing that. I know why it's doing that. Because we actually had 2 images yesterday. There we go. Fix that. There we go. Anyway, I was going to say that there are a lot of folks associated with this. And I was actually having a really hard time tracking down the credits for this book, which is a little unusual. Usually you can track down the Paizo credits pretty easily. So there is some discussion going on in chat. Flaming here, now that's an intermission. Some discussion about different cats. And are all orange tabbies male? Perkins asked. I don't know. But I gotta be honest. I think every orange tabby I've run across is now. Mango's not an orange tabby. She's got a lot of orange, but she's got a lot of other colors too. So I don't believe she is considered to be an orange tabby. So Callahan says some friends of theirs just got a calico kitten, growing up pretty quickly. So the madman has 2 Norwegian forest cats, which he actually trapped in Norway. I don't know if you've heard this story, but pretty amazing because I don't know if you know this. Norwegian forest cats grow to be about 250 pounds, and they've got claws and big fangs. So I'm sure the madman's going to share that story with us, how he caught them. So yeah, some discussion about cats going on. Anyway, you can score this 157-page hardcover. It's got more than that, but more pages than that, but they're ads. So I usually just go with like the last numbered page. Hardcover is $39.99. You can grab the PDF for $9.99. Yes, this is one of those core books that Paizo just really lowers the price on in PDF. And that's very cool. I like how they do that. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Starfinder Galactic Magic. Once again, from Paizo Inc. Take a look at what we've got. I had thought that this was simply kind of a magic book, right? A spell book. But it is not. There's a lot. It looks like it's a lot of player-facing options in here as well. And we know Those tend to sell very well. Unleash cosmic power. Unravel the eldritch mysteries of the galaxy with Starfinder Galactic Magic. This book demystifies Starfinder's magical possibilities, providing your characters fantastic abilities to overcome any challenge. Whether you master the secrets of arcane academies, steal spells with supernatural finesse, or draw power from the gods themselves, Galactic Magic redefines what you thought possible with the new precog character class who can bend time to her will and outwit foes with combat predictions. Exciting ways to channel magical might with reality warping rituals and over 100 new spells. New player options from magical variants for every character class to legendary artifacts and magic items. Discoveries about the galaxy's most powerful mystical forces, from alignment singularities and metastars to deities and the boons they offer. And a study of eldritch secrets and everyday arcane alike, including how a magic user navigates society and the organizations that might support and oppose them. Coco B is with us in chat. Welcome, Coco. So we've got our usual kind of gateway here. We always have our Galarian kind of. I think it's the, isn't it? I thought it's like the Galarian system, but it's like the Pact Worlds too, and Absalom Station. All right, we're going to jump on in. So a few things I do want to mention before we dive in, and that is the fine folks over at Paizo were kind enough to provide me with a review copy of this book, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And of course, these days, it really is important that you know that. Also, I'm staying picture in picture up here. So that means I'm going to be cutting off a bit of the upper left portion of the book as we take a peek through. We're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in this book. I don't know what's in it. This is the first time I've cracked this open. In fact, when I was reading the back of the book, I was like, oh, fingers crossed, I'm not going to run across a bunch of stuff that it's like, how do you pronounce that? Because I hadn't even peeked at it. So this is the first time. And this is all kind of stream of consciousness as well. And of course, comments in chat as well. So authors are Kate Baker, Rigby. Oh my gosh. You know what? There are tons of authors here. I'm not going to read all of them. So that is all the authors there, all the artists here. Well, those are a lot of contributors for a 157-page book. Holy cow. All right. So here's an overview of what we're going to find. So we've got mystical heroics, magic and miracles, divine disciples, eldritch settings. So we get into the classes. So we've got our new class, the precog. So they are psychic, obviously. So key ability score is dexterity. Really? I'm kind of surprised by that. It says, through some cosmic event, you have come to understand the ebb and flow of time to a degree that only a select few can. You manipulate time dexterously, accelerating, slowing, or even reshaping chronologies to suit your needs. The skeins of time are yours to see, and you know how to apply enough pressure to adjust their threads ever so subtly. Your ability to understand the infinite possibilities of time also shaped you into someone capable of altering the material universe through powerful spellcasting. You can harness temporal paradoxes to foresee the future and dictate the present in powerful ways. Well, well, well. Missed it by that much. So we got our class skills as well, our proficiencies. Now, I gotta be honest here. This kind of seems like a pretty powerful character class, doesn't it? So then we've got some subclasses here. So we have the Apocalypse Seer, Time Worn Warrior, Time Traveler, the Chronomancer. I get a kick out of these little onion people. I just kind of funny. I think there was one of the Starfinder Society adventures featured. I'm not sure what they are, but they just look like little onion people. Just, I don't, there. Here we go. There we go. There's another one. I don't think Starfinder gets enough love, to be honest with you, because out of the two, out of Pathfinder and Starfinder, personally, now I like both. I I say it all the time when we're talking about role playing games. I really don't have any dog in the fight outside. Ha! I was waiting for somebody to ask this. So the madman's asking, "Do those onion creatures make you cry?" No, no, it's dusty down here. I told you that it's dusty. I got dust in my eyes. Uh, anyway, Starfighter has just so many like character options. There's like 100 playable races in this game. It's really, really wild. So, unfortunately, the adventures that I have reviewed to this, and I have not reviewed a lot. We're we finally ironed some things out as far as with Paizo, so that I don't get like, oh, here's the first adventure of an of, of an adventure path, and then here's the months later it's like, oh, here's the last part. It's like, I don't know. Jason says no. You only cry when you cut those onion creatures. You chop them up. But I wish the adventures had more oomph to them. But it's just a modern thing. I mean, it really is just kind of a modern thing these days. So here we've got the various types of. What are these? Are these new classes? Yes, yes, they're new alternate like subclasses for the classes that are already out. So I'm looking, I'm like, how are these subclasses of the that's still like the seer, the precog. So this is pretty cool. I'm gonna skip some pages here once again because we're here to get an idea of what's in the book, not for you to sit there and get all the content of the book. All right, so we got some new gear. Extra seat. There you go. That's all I want. That's all I want my character to have is an extra seat. That's it. That is it. These are the hybrid items, blends of magic and technology. Some magic items here as well. Weapon fusions and armor upgrades. Then we get into spells. Pretty cool artwork throughout, I must say. Let's get some spell lists here. Once again, we have about 100 new spells. Adamantine Shot, Adhere, Cheat Time. I wonder who's going to be using that spell. Could it be our new character class that we've got? Communal Bond. Gravity Tether. Fluidity of Form is a transmutation spell. Mystical Aegis. Proximity Alert! Proximity Alert! What is that? It's a spell? I would think your ship just had that. You ordinarily alert you when creatures enter without your permission. When you cast proximity alert, select a password. Whenever a small or larger corporeal creature of a CR lower than your caster level enters the spell's area without speaking the password, proximity alert sends you a mental alert or an audible alarm. That's why I'm saying proximity alert. Okay. All right. So, some discussion of various different science fiction role playing games. Got Traveler, the original space opera, yes, from FGU. You know, we were talking about this a little bit, I want to say last week, maybe it was week before last. The FGU role playing games were actually pretty solid. Their presentation was awful. Some of the artwork was pretty good in the books, but and we've already talked about how uh, non-intuitive rules presentation was back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s into the 90s. And even for that, the FGU games were just so hard to sometimes wrap your head around just the way the rules were presented, but they were actually pretty good. I'm trying to remember the post-apocalyptic game, Aftermath. That was another one of those games where we rolled up characters, spent an entire afternoon rolling up characters, and never played. So if you follow the gaming gang, if you've caught shows quite often, then you may have heard me tell the story of how there used to be. Now, this is when I was in high school. It's like sophomore and junior year in Oak Park, Illinois, because I grew up in Chicago, in Oak Park's suburb right next to Chicago. Oak Park, there was just like this little community center. And twice a year, they would have like a game weekend. And my best friend, Elliot Miller, didn't live too far away from there. So a bunch of us would crash at his house and go there. And then they actually had a game group that got together. I think it was actually every Saturday. But we only went to the game group a couple of times, and one of the times we were rolling up characters. Somebody there at the group had Aftermath, and we were rolling characters up. And I remember I had a stop sign shield or something like that. And we never played. All right, back to taking a look at Galactic Magic, though. So here we go. Discussion of how essential a towel is in space. Right there. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was right on the money. Because Callahan says, think of how many aliens explode into goo in the movies. A towel is an essential piece of equipment. There you go. Perkins is talking about villains and vigilantes. Yes. We had that. I had that one. I kicked myself. I don't know how I would have held on to him all this time, but we had so much gaming stuff that just disappeared in the moves and things like that. So Flaming Heron says they're finding a greater interest in playing science fiction games. Nice. So now we got some rituals as well. Then we got faiths. So we have some new religions that are being introduced as well. Faiths in the universe. I guess these are some of the deities. The Devourer, chaotic evil god of black holes, destruction, and supernovas. Flaming Heron says, thank God he had the bathrobe on. Oh, look, Nyarlathotep. The crawling chaos. That is an interesting inclusion. All right. Okay, what are we into here now? Okay, these are still deities, just no artwork. Then we have some ancestral deities. Elder mythos. Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, Cthulhu, Castor, Subniggurath. Looks like a pretty interesting book. Clint Gibson says, TSR Con, buying a ticket and showing up gets you a free copy of Star Frontiers. I'm going. You know, I had Star Frontiers. Well, here's the weird thing, right? I've talked about how I really didn't play much D&D after 1981-ish, and I only was introduced to it in like 79. But strangely enough, I had Top Secret, I had Star Frontiers, I had Gamma World, I had Boot Hill, and once again, Gangbusters. There's another TSR title. I didn't play or run any of them. Just had them. Just would pick them up. Part of the thing that helped is I had a part-time job. So, yes, I actually, here's a funny story real quick. I got a fake ID, and it was a terrible fake ID. And this is back when you could go just about anywhere and get like an ID. It didn't have to be like from the state. So my grandmother took me to get an ID. I was 13. I was a freshman in high school. When I got this fake ID so I could go work a part-time job because I wanted to have a job because I wanted spending money. So I got a job at Arby's with this fake ID. So I started working when I was 13, but I wanted to. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to have so many different games and things like that, is because I had a job. All right, so here's the Magic institutions. So this is kind of giving us a discussion of, kind of looks like magic through the galaxy. Like it was sort of explained right on the back of the book. Magical factions, magical phenomena. All right, and we get an index, open game license, some ads as well. And that is a look at Starfinder Galactic Magic from Paizo Inc. This is available now. Once again, this hardcover does carry an MSRP of $39.99. You can grab the PDF over at the Paizo website for only $9.99. As I mentioned before, this is one of those core books that Paizo is doing a really, really sharp discount as opposed to the physical book in PDF. Because usually the PDFs are like half. Some of the PDFs from Paizo are more than half the cost of the physical book. But a lot of the core books that Paizo does for Pathfinder and Starfinder tend to be pretty inexpensive to grab. Jason Bradley says, right with you, Jeff. I started my engineering apprenticeship at 15. Clint Gibson says they started tending bar at 16 with a fake ID. Yeah, part of it that helped too was I always looked older than I was. That was one of the reasons why I think I was 14 when I first started going to see R-rated movies. We won't talk about like buying beer and things like that, because doing that when I was 14 too. So bad, Jeff, bad. All right. I will have, or one of my correspondents will have a review of Starfinder Galactic Magic in the very near future. Jason says we're all rebels here. Right. Where's Princess Leia to lead us, right? Because we're all rebels. So, as I mentioned, There's giveaways. Yes. Giveaways. Because this is, I don't want to say landmark episode, but I think 750 live streams is a pretty big deal, especially on top of all the videos that are on the channel outside of the live streams too. So this is what I'm going to do. And I had mentioned yesterday, and I'll mention it once again. If you're a fan of role-playing games, you will dig this giveaway. If you're not a fan of role-playing games, this giveaway is really not for you. So, sorry. Just so much easier for me to do what I'm going to do. All right. So, those of you who are watching live, you have a choice of a role-playing game PDF. This is how it's going to work. I have one copy of Haunted West from Darker Hue Studios in PDF that I can give away. I only have one. The rest of the titles, doesn't matter. It is your choice. So what's going to happen here is if you want Haunted West, you're going to also have to let me know an alternate role-playing game as well, because I only have the one copy to give away. So if you are watching live, you have 60 minutes from the time this stream ends to email me your choice of a free role-playing game PDF. Your choices are Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment, Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory, also from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner Box in PDF from Paizo Inc., or we were just talking about Starfinder, the Starfinder Beginner Box from Paizo Inc., Cyberpunk Red from Artelsorian Games, Twilight 2000 from Free League Publishing, as well as Old School Essentials, the Classic Fantasy Rules Tome from Necrotic Gnome. You get to choose one, and I will send you a link to the download. So 60 minutes from the time this stream ends. So that's why I said you got to be watching live or close enough to watch live, right? I mean, so you know how to get a hold of me if you follow the show, if you follow the Gaming Gang, you know how to contact me. If not, it's super easy to find out over on thegaminggang.com. So once again, I have one copy of Haunted West. So the first person who has dibs on that is going to get that copy in PDF. If you want the Haunted West, you got to give me a secondary option in case somebody beats you to the punch. Otherwise, you can choose from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner Box, the Starfinder Beginner Box, Cyberpunk Red, Twilight 2000, or Old School Essentials Classic Fantasy. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. So there's some discussion about looking older than people were. Brian Grant says you're one of those bearded 14-year-olds. Callahan says, funny story about looking older. They were in a D&D campaign with a police officer who thought that Callahan was 25 when he was 17. Thankfully, he wasn't drinking in front of the cop, but it was funny. That is funny. So Madman says, being a rebel wasn't exactly a good thing in the military. No, usually is not. Once he got out, all bets were off. Coco says they had a baby face. They still got carded at 27, and drinking age there is 18. Huh. Yeah, it was pretty weird. Yeah, it's funny. I get carded more now But I mean, because they're such tight asses about everything now. Oh my gosh. But I get carded more now, not that I really buy much alcohol, than I was when I was 16. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, also wanted to point out with this giveaway, give me till tomorrow morning. Well, give me till tomorrow afternoon to get all the emails back out to everybody. So don't expect a link like in 90 minutes with your giveaway. All right? Okay, so that is it for this time out. On tomorrow's show, it is a War Game Wednesday. We are going to take a look at The Last 100 Yards, Solomon Islands from GMT Games. This is the third volume in the Last 100 Yard series. And obviously enough, it's taking the action to the Pacific. So very cool. I gotta say, the box doesn't seem as hefty as the other volumes, and it's actually a little shallower box, but very cool. So we got a War Game Wednesday tomorrow. Okay, so don't forget, grab your copy of a role-playing game in the giveaway. It's my thank you for you hanging out. Many of you sticking with me for probably almost 750 episodes of the live stream, as well as those of you out there who are fairly new to the channel. We also just cracked 6,400 subscribers today, too. So very cool. Very cool. So Flaming Herons offering congrats on 750 episodes. Thank you very much. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 o'clock Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Old School Essentials, the classic rules. Very classic fantasy, I should say. Rules tome. Good stuff. Good stuff, Maynard. Check out the review if you're curious about OSE. All right, that's it for this time out. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who watch live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat, bonus experience points for you. We'll be leveling up soon. I know, I'm just saying that. I also know a lot of people don't have an opportunity to watch live. If that's the case, it doesn't matter how you watch the show, be it live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out of your busy lives to watch any of the videos on the channel. I will be back tomorrow. Once again, we're going to take a look at The Last 100 Yards, the Solomon Islands. And of course, everybody enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is in your neck of the woods. And of course, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. See you tomorrow. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.